In this video, I'm going to show you 4 trading opportunities you could have taken and why you would have taken them. Welcome back. My name is John. Here we talk about ways to simplify your trading and free you from the belief that trading can't be done. All right, so what do we see again? We see price pushes above previous structure. And this is another area above the bodies where we pay attention to price possibly changing direction. Now, if we drop down to the 1 minute, what do we see? We see price comes into the area. We would have had an alert set, watching for something. And what do we watch for? Signs of exhaustion, followed by an engulfing pattern. So we see signs of exhaustion here after it's tapped into it, pushing just above previous body high. And now we see an engulfing pattern to the downside. And just on the close of this bearish candle, we would have got in on the trade. And if we would have targeted the low here, this would have been a risk to reward of 2.21. And you could have moved your stop loss to break even and taken partials, and you still would have made a profit off this as well. So not bad. 19-minute trade. What we can see here is previous structure high. Price pushes away, heading in a bearish direction, comes back up, would have triggered your alert. You would have been watching for an entry pattern. Now, if we go down to the 1 minute, there was the recent structure high. Price comes into it, just testing it and then pushing above it. And now what do we see? We see price stalling out. While this isn't perfect by any means, but it's happening in an important area where we expect price could react. And what do we see? We see an engulfing pattern to the downside. Now, if you would have got in on that trade and your stop loss, well, like I said, I don't want it too close. So I'd say 3 pips is close enough. And if you're aiming for the low, this was a risk to reward 3.7, which is fantastic. Now, keep in mind, if you would have been managing your trade and taking partials after a 1-to-1, you would have been stopped out. And that's okay because you still would have been profitable. It would have been a risk-free trade with a little bit of profit. So there's nothing wrong with that. And this trade, 46-minute trade. Okay, so what we see here is price came into an area again. Now, I've got a line marked showing the body low. Price comes into it and just pushes past it. Now, you can see that I've already drawn out the risk to reward. Now, why I moved it down this low, if you run it across, you take a look, I was just placing it, the stop loss just below the low of the wick. So if you're wondering why that I put it there. Now, if we go down to the 1 minute time frame and we take a look here, what do we see? We see price came down and our alert would have been going off by this time. And now I had originally this marked, but actually that you could have taken it there, but still I like to see when price pushes just slightly past before I get in. So I would have not likely taken that one. I would have tried to wait for another opportunity. And right here, you can see there's an opportunity here. So price pushes into it just past the area that we have marked off, and then we have an engulfing pattern. And we're targeting the high. And what we see here is this was a risk to reward 4.41 and 37-minute trade. So as you can see, we're on GBP USD 15-minute time frame. Now, what I'm showing you here is an opportunity you could have taken. So if we take a look and we run line across the chart, and you can see that price at 10:45 EST came into that area and pushed above it. You would have had an alert set before this because these are the type of areas where we expect price to change direction. And it came in up there, and where the wick went to before changing directions, oftentimes you'll see that it's filling in part of or completely filling in a void before changing direction. So now what we'll do is we will take a look on the 1 minute time frame and see if this would have been an opportunity or not. Here we go. Now, price comes into it. You would have had an alert set before this, so you would have been expecting something. You would have been sitting at the chart, waiting to see if you'll get some type of pattern to enter in on. So what do I often talk about? Looking for signs of exhaustion, followed by some engulfing pattern. Now, I can see two opportunities where that happened. You can see one right here, and you can see another one right here. Now, if you would have jumped in at this one, now I wouldn't recommend the stop loss too close. 3 pips is still fairly close. And now you can see the potential on this. Now, so 3 pip stop loss. You could see a risk to reward 9.17. And this one took less than 2 hours. So this is the one thing I love about trading the 1 minute time frame. And if you're not getting a clear picture too, like I've mentioned before, you're looking at the 15, you have your areas marked where you're expecting price to react. Now, if you want an extra bit of confluence, you can look at a higher time frame. So you could jump on the 4 hour and see, well, okay, is it coming to a very important area where price could react from? And if it's not anywhere near either in either direction, then you'll be able to go with the trade that you choose. Now, long as you manage this too, you can do well. Like today, I was doing a couple trades. I think there was 3 trades on prop firm challenge that I'm doing right now, and this is the 2-week FTMO challenge, and all 3 trades I lost. Now, while that sounds bad, because I managed it, it wasn't a bad thing. So once it reached a specific point, now I've told you before that, you know, you could wait for a 1-to-1 or a 1-to-2 before you start adjusting things on your chart. But I decided that when it reached a certain area today, it wasn't anywhere specific, I moved my stop loss to break even, and I took partials, and my partial is usually 25%, and it doesn't have to be exact, but that's what I did. And the trades, all 3 trades went against me afterwards. So even though all 3 trades failed, I think I still was about 0.25% in profit. So it doesn't sound like a lot, but it could have been much worse if I lost all 3 trades and I didn't manage the trades at all. So as you practice this more, you're going to notice the benefit to that, and you'll find a strategy that you're comfortable with on moving your stop loss and taking partials. I hope you found this helpful, and now you see the potential of trading on the 1 minute time frame. If you have any questions, leave me a comment below and I'll get back to you, and good luck trading.